defended J. Edgar Hoover as much as anybody doing anything which was even remotely critical of the FBI.
Hoover's campaign against King took a much darker turn on August 28, 1963.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
It has to be shockingly disturbing to him to see this person whom he thinks is not a worthy character having this open, defiant public support.
Free at last! Free at last! Thank God!
I think it scared people. The fear that this could become something else, that this could become a demagogic personal movement, that this could become a threat.
J. Edgar Hoover makes a huge decision that Martin Luther King needs to be destroyed. That means the absolute, utter destruction of Martin Luther King's public persona and his message.
Within days of the speech, the FBI marked King in an internal report as, quote, the most dangerous Negro in the future of this nation. Hoover initiated round-the-clock surveillance. 22 bugs and wiretaps didn't turn up any new evidence of communist ties, but they did give the director something he thought was just as damaging: apparent evidence of King's sexual infidelities.
And so now his outrage moved from the communist influence to the hypocrisy of a minister who is also leading a sexual life that's something that Hoover regards as simply out of character.
King is a tomcat with obsessive, degenerate sexual urges, Hoover scrawled in a note to one of his aides. In the fall of 1964, the FBI began making an audio sex tape of King's alleged extramarital affairs. An agent shopped it to reporters, including John Herbers of the New York Times.
He suggested to me on several occasions that Martin Luther King was not the righteous preacher that he was purported to be. If I wanted to know the other side of Martin Luther King, they were ready to cooperate. They tried to peddle that dirt, is what it was, to everybody, every news person that I know of.
When word of the tape reached Attorney General Nicholas Katzenbach, he flew to Texas to warn President Johnson.
It's something that could really blow up the whole civil rights thing. An illegal bug for no real reason other than to discredit Dr. King in the eyes of the world.
When Martin Luther King won the Nobel Peace Prize on October 14, 1964, Hoover was beside himself. Martin Luther King is the most notorious liar in the country, he blurted out to a group of reporters. The outburst made national headlines. It also infuriated President Johnson and Martin Luther King. A meeting was arranged, King and Hoover, face to face. Walter Fauntleroy was there.
We talked with him for about an hour, and he took most of the time explaining what a fine job the FBI was doing. They called it a filibuster, answering questions we didn't ask. So when we left and got back, we sort of laughed. Said we wasted an hour in there.
In fact, just days before the meeting, Hoover's bureau had sent the audio sex tape to King's office in Atlanta, along with a chilling note.
It ended by saying that King had better consider suicide as the only way to escape the humiliation and shame that was going to occur when these activities came out.
They'd researched King very closely. They really had a psychological analysis of him that they used, and there was some suggestion that at a very young age he'd once been tempted to commit suicide.
I don't think he would have ever sanctioned killing Martin Luther King, but he wouldn't mind sanctioning Martin Luther King killing himself.
American Gangster continues.